Hey Virgo, welcome to your weekly read. On my channel, I always read your aura using the wheel of emotions. We'll be working with an emotion pyramid, and if necessary, we'll also pull some oracle cards. Alright, so your emotion pyramid consists of 3 layers. The bottom one is your root, which is the emotions that you're working through. Right, the second layer is your leading emotions, the emotions that will guide you through the week. Whether they are the emotions you feel or your ultimate goals. And the top one is your arcana, the highlighted emotion of the week. All right, so your arcana is loathing. Then your 2 leading emotions are disgust and distraction. I mean, I feel like the overall theme is self-discipline. Where if you feel disgust, you know you're doing it right. If you get distracted, you know you're heading in the wrong direction, but it's still a good pointer regardless. The loathing, you know you gotta do it, but you don't want to. Or you didn't think that it looked like this. I feel like you had a more picture perfect idea of it. And you realize that people who have done it have done a lot more work than you'd expect. And that's why you're sort of doing it in the end, because you know it can be done and it has to be done. And that if anyone is able to do it, so are you. The thing with your roots is that realistically they could present themselves as types of behavior and not actually emotions here. But these emotions are enveloped in it, but they're not genuine. That's why they're more behavioral types and not actually, because the grief is self-deception, and I feel like it actually stems from calmness, which calmness is laziness. And I have to explain that one. Hopefully you'll understand. And then optimism is escapism. Wow, I had something else in mind. I really did have something else in mind, but it is escapism. Jeez. Because look, anybody can get distracted, and I get it's hard work, so or sometimes, you know, your mind just gets distracted, you know, to reel yourself back in. But to seek a way to never have to do self-work, that's just some BS. It's almost like you're excited because you found a way to enjoy life without working on yourself. But it's not soul satisfaction, it's not what you really want. It's a lower level of life that's decent, that you can pretend to be happy in, easier than a lot of other situations. So there's your optimism, like, I don't have to think about that for the rest of my life. Like, bro, seriously. So yeah, that's your escapism. You gotta really work through. The calmness, that's the laziness. The calmness, actually, I feel like it's on the further end of the roster where it's, I'm surprised the calmness card came out. And not serenity, but I can see why, because it's like satisfaction, false satisfaction too, where it's like you do a little bit of self-work and then you're like, all right, I'm cool with this, even though you know that at this level you can't manifest anything or much. But because you did some, you're like, well, I didn't screw up life. I'll still have good karma because I did self-work. It doesn't work like that. Like there's nothing to work with. Like I feel like in this state, you just acknowledge that you have some pretty destructive flaws. And look, that's the first step, truly, like, is the first step. But you didn't accomplish anything internally, so like, what the heck? Where could you possibly go with that in terms of co-creation. The other thing with that is you're all right with the way your life turned out because of this self-work you refused to do, and for so long. And you're okay with leaving it like that. And even though you've come to a point where you could fix things or make something better, you're just cool with it. You're just cool with your outside life being a complete catastrophe. Because you don't feel like putting the positive energy you've transmuted to use. It's like having good energy, but then not creating anything with it. Like having all the art tools in the world and not drawing or painting a single thing. Because you're just cool with the possibility, but you're not cool with doing the work. And you'd rather have a trash life or a trash area of life if it means you're not working. If it means you're not moving. If it means you're not actively doing anything. And lastly, the grief, right, is yeah, I said self-deception before. Because you're grieving the life you lived in your ego, where given that you're not doing anything, this is why I say it stems from the calmness, right? It stems from the laziness. You're living in this the guilt is present, the sorrow is present, where before you had like guilt and anxiety, but now you have the sorrow because the possibility is there, but there's nothing. And it's like you're missing out on so much. Missing out on things that you had planned before that could be going great right now. Missing out on the life you had when self-work wasn't a part of it. Where everything was just there, but not because you put it there. But to be quite honest, yeah, it was put there and it was there, but it wasn't necessarily because you deserved it. Some people have a lot of money only just to learn from it. And I'm not saying this is about money, but it's just the best example I can give. Some people are rich. Some people have a lot of fame, and it's only there for them to learn from it. Some people get fast growth in like just a couple of months. For them to hit a brick wall, that it hits the front of their head like a reset button so that they wake up and change. And I feel like that's what happened to you. But it's so deceptive to grieve because you know that your life could be the same but better. Because not only will it look and be better, but it'll feel better too. And you can take it even further than it ever could have been. You know that. So yeah, that's where your struggle lies. And your self-work is really the focus here. Whew. Those are some seriously muddy waters. And I can feel it, and it doesn't feel great, but you're not taking yourself out of it when you can. What's it gonna take? Because I tell you, it'd be really unfair for it to take someone else pushing you or someone else pulling you out. And the funny thing is that the further you go like this, the less and less chance there is of somebody pulling you out. I feel like you see the opportunity of somebody pulling you out. Or you think you see it anyway. There's two scenarios with that. Either it is true, or spirit has it appear as true. And if you go too far in this setting, they're gonna illuminate it to you that ain't nobody gonna pull you out of the mess that you created yourself. It started out as you just needing some self-work, but you're turning it into a mess. All right, Virgo, that is everything I got for you. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next week.